Welcome, everyone, to the Pockets of Knowledge podcast. I'm your host, Desiree Stanley, and with me today is my guest, Kitty Lai. How are you today, Kitty?
I'm really good. Thank you, Desiree. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me on the show.
I am so thrilled that you're on the show. I'm excited to explore this topic with you today. We are going to be discussing brand image, developing a brand, and all of that encompasses that topic. But before we do that, I would love to hear about a little bit of your background and how you kind of got started in this field.
Right. It goes way back to when I was a child. I've always had a passion for packaging and branding and design. My first job was in a packaging factory. So I started on the lines, on the conveyor belts, working for Estee Lauder and Clinique and Aramis. So I'd be putting all the packaging things, the stickers, everything that encompasses putting a brand together and packaging. I loved it. And from then on, I used to collect a lot of bags, paper bags, carrier bags, just for design, purely design, and boxes. And I used to have a room full of boxes. I still do. But I really loved that. And back when I was at school, no one really talked about graphic design or packaging design, and I really loved that. So I pursued a career in art, and then I decided I want to do graphic design at university. So I studied brand communication. So it was about creating visual things that could communicate to the audience, and I love that. But my specialist area is graphic design and packaging. I've done that ever since for the last 25 years. So, after university, I graduated in London, exciting place to be. And then I worked for agencies. But one of my big breaks was working for a brand called Ted Baker. So a fashion brand. I worked my way up from a junior designer all the way to graphics manager. So I was managing a team of 8 after 10 years of being there. Everything with the name Ted Baker on, I'd handle the labeling, the packaging, the marketing, all the things going in store. We open stores globally. So everything that had design or the name Ted Baker on, it would have to come through me. So I would sign everything off for every single project. And then after 10 years, made redundant, but I joined another incredible company, actually TK Maxx. In America, it's called TJ Maxx, I think. Different. But I started freelancing for them. So they wanted me to create the environmental design within their store. So with my background of store design with Ted Baker, I helped them do a lot of graphic design and mainly worked on their Christmas campaigns, and did that for 10 months. And then another huge opportunity came along for another company called Kidston. So it's another retail brand. It's a very English, nostalgic kind of vintage brand with polka dots, florals. If you know the name Kidston, I rebranded everything for the business. So all the packaging again, the branding, the labels, the swing tickets, everything that encompasses. And I still see people, having the bags with my design on there. I can see it's like, well, that's mine. And obviously it's really great. But after a while, after 16, 18 years of doing the same thing over, I was getting a bit bored, to be honest. So again, I was made redundant. I had a little boy. And at that time, he was free. I was thinking he's going to start school soon. What do I do? So I decided to set up my own business. But anyway, I know you got quite a few questions about, where I'm coming from. But the background is I started off, loving the idea of being a graphic designer.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. And you really did just start from the ground up, if you will, in that hands-on version where you were working with the packaging itself, and then, kind of grew and learned and developed your own style and helped these major brands, which is super exciting. And yes, it is TJ Maxx here in the States. I had no idea it was TK Maxx.
Yeah.
In the UK. Interesting. Super cool. Let's talk a little bit about the design aspect of it. I'm just curious about where you get inspiration for the designs and how you come up with the packaging. Like you said, you totally rebranded, I think you said Kidston. So where did that come from?
Well, firstly, the first day at the job, I went into the warehouse. I said, I'm going to open every single box. I'm going to look at every single product and look at the brand. Nothing was consistent. And that drives me, me when things aren't consistent and logos were looking different, suppliers were using different logos, so they skew it. I have to have structure in what I do and making sure everything's uniform and consistent throughout. So I just dissected that. I worked closely with Kidston herself, and we created the new color palettes for her, the new branding itself. It used to be called Calf Kidston Limited. It was just simple Calf Kidston. Let's not call it anything else. Let's not call it Calf Kidston Limited London. There were so many different styles of logo, so we kept it very simple, and that's where it is now. Getting the ideas is, I think, I've been quite lucky working for these brands, is they give me free reign to do pretty much everything. But, you know, I have to sort of work to a brief and understand the audience that we're appealing to. So it's really understanding who I'm marketing to, who our audience are, and then creating ideas that would work with the audience.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because you certainly don't want to alienate the existing clients that these brands have cultivated over the years, right? And so by maybe changing something too dramatically, you might completely lose all of those customers who were so loyal for many years, right?
Absolutely.
So then, leading into building your own business, and I'd love for you to share about how that, you know, came to be, and like what was sort of the impetus that led you to that, what spurred you to that.
So I've never wanted to be a business owner. Firstly, the fact was, it was just too frightening. I just like, oh God, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. But when you're put into a position, when you're bored and you don't want to be doing the same thing over and over for years, you kind of put into a position thinking, oh, actually, I've got a really good skill here. The actual story for where I've come to from now is actually because I was made redundant from Calf Kidston, because I was only working 3 days a week. I negotiated really short hours as well. Well, I was trying to sort of buy some time for myself. And then it came to a point where, actually, Kitty, you've got to go now, which is fine. And I was ready, to be honest. And then this opportunity came along to do a masterclass about Amazon, to learn about selling FBA on Amazon. I went to this masterclass over a weekend. I loved it. I was crazy. My hand was up the whole weekend asking questions, because, and this is why I was bored in my previous roles and stuff. I was looking for something to learn. I was not developing. I was not learning. My knowledge was going to all my team members and the junior members of the team, but I wasn't getting anything back. So I was loving it. And they actually taught you how to create a business, how to create a company, how to do everything from scratch. And I thought, well, actually, it's really easy. It's not too bad. It's not too scary. I think I can do this. So with my background and knowledge of creating product and brands from concept to launch, Amazon FBA was the perfect way to get me started. So I had I loved it. I loved everything. And so I launched an organic baby brand to get me started on Amazon FBA. And that's where the sort of the crux of it started. And by doing so, I joined the Academy, a 1-year mastermind to have mentorship. But after 6 months, they made me a mentor. So I was like, well, I'm still halfway through my mentorship, but they made me the mentor because my not extensive knowledge on branding, and I was helping everyone on the roundtable discussions. So I said, well, actually, can we have you as mentor? So I did that. And in between that same time as well, people were still asking me for work, graphic design work, for branding work. So I was still getting freelancing work. And I thought, well, okay, I will do that. And so I made a business of that to sort of do more work for people and slowly get back into it and fall in love with the things that I only wanted to do for my business.
I love it. That organic learning that you really went through in that Amazon program that showed you how easy it is to start a business, where previously it seems kind of insurmountable. You're like, have no idea what you don't know. It just seems so out of reach, that you went and did this and you learned and you realized it's much simpler than it initially seems. And I love that. That's awesome. So tell us about the company that you built, which is Me Brand.
So from building that business, I actually had another business, but it's merged to Me Brand. But Me Brand actually started off with personal branding. So I was creating actually personal branding for people whilst building my own personal brand at the same time. So I had a coach that asked me, what is it you want to do? What are the things that you don't want to do? And we stripped everything back and it came to personal branding. I thought, okay, if I can brand product, I can brand people. It's the same concept, the designs and everything. And obviously there's a little bit difference because a person, there's a lot of other things you can brand, but I started with that. And from that, I created a Facebook group for personal branding. And this was to actually get myself out of my comfort zone. Another coach said, well, why don't you do a Facebook group and start getting, you're really, very knowledgeable about branding and stuff. Why don't you create your own group? No, I don't want to be on screen. I don't want to be talking to anyone. I don't want, so I pushed myself. And that was it. I thought, okay, I want to build my brand. I need to look like an expert, authority in my area of expertise. And I do know a lot of stuff. And so it was actually for me to get out of my comfort zone and to create content, give value. And, I've been doing that for the last coming up to 3 years now, actually. So it was a natural progress for me to sort of be on camera, start creating content and being out there. So Me Brand has merged from a graphic design branding business with packaging and personal branding. So I've discovered over the last year or so is actually people want the brand identity side of things. It's more of the packaging and design. So it's what I really started off doing for the last 20 years. And personal branding is when people need extra help or to brand themselves.
Yeah, I love it. And that idea of the personal branding, which we're seeing so much really in these last, probably, I would guess 5 to 7 years at least, you're really seeing a lot of people who are taking that and kind of running with it. Like, I need to have something that's sort of all encompassing of what it is that I do, who I am and who I help. So you're right there, helping those people to build that kind of image and idea of, the look and feel and who they help and target that, which is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So in what way are you really helping your clients to achieve that?
When it comes to personal brand, then I look at the person. Every client is bespoke, and not everyone needs to be on camera. Not everyone needs the confidence to talk on camera, or present themselves or dress themselves. But it really depends what they want to do. And I generally have 3 rules. Really, is to be branded, be visible, and also to continually grow your content and sort of be the expert in your area of your whatever skills you have. You should build on that as well. So it's literally building your authority in your area of expertise.
Oh, that's great. I love that, because the truth of the matter is that we have knowledge and we have experience, and there's always room to grow, right?
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be afraid to share the knowledge that we have and the experiences that we have gone through to help others, while continuing to improve our own experiences and knowledge and all of that. I love it. And that you stepped out of your comfort zone, as you said, to get in front of the camera, which can be very scary for, regular people, right? This isn't something that we necessarily set out to do, right? Yourself, it wasn't like you wanted to be a stage actor or a movie star or something like that, right?
I actually wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be on a West End stage. My dad completely put me off that. So I was like, yeah, you're not going to find any money doing that. So I pursued graphic design, but no, coming out of your comfort zone is so difficult. Especially not wanting to be on the camera or speak in public. I pushed myself one step further to actually do a live speaking on stage. And that's what I did. I wasn't even sure what I was going to talk about, but I thought, let's just ask the host, will you have me? And he said, well, what are you going to talk about? I'm going to talk about sustainability, about packaging and design. I got the gig. And I just pushed myself to talk in front of, lots of people and hundreds of people. And that was it. You just have to push yourself. And I think the main thing was the mindset is always thinking, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. Why would I want to do, but, with a bit of coaching as well, I say, well, if you're not doing it, someone else is going to do it. And I have got the knowledge of what I know. So why not? And the only thing is, my coach said, well, the only thing is the host could just say no, and you can try again next year. It's the fear of rejection as well. So yeah.
For sure. That's a great point, is that often we are our own stopping point, right? It's like our mind says we can't do something, and so we don't do it. But when we find that if we push ourselves a little bit outside of our comfort zone, we can do so much more than we ever thought possible, right? And you asking, can I do this speaking engagement, that not even being ready to do it, and you just asked anyway. I love it. That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit more about your other business, because the Me brand and the personal branding isn't the only thing that you're doing. So what else? Tell us about it.
So my other business is actually called Kit London. It's a sustainable fashion clothing business. So it's for men's and women's. And the idea behind Kit London is to have longevity and timeless classics in your wardrobe. So the product that we produce, we don't follow trends or fashion. They are designed by proper designers that we've used in the past as well. And, the materials we try to use are sustainable, especially the sunglasses that we've produced. They are all eco-friendly sourced. It's only one manufacturer in the world that does that, or one or two. Everything is using oil plant-based petroleum. They don't use petroleum. It's all oil-based and plant-based oils. All the recycled steel is used in the screws and the frames. So there's a lot of things that make up these. The sunglasses are amazing, I must say, and we designed them in a particular way. I love them. And, we're not 100% there with the sustainable side of things, but, having something that you can pull out 10 years time, that's sustainable enough for us. But the materials we use, we're trying to do as much as we can. And in future, I want to just produce them in the UK if possible. So, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know what? I think it's a step in the right direction. You maybe are not able to source everything sustainably, but that you're doing as much as you can right now is a step in the right direction. And I know ultimately that's your goal, right? Is to try to be as sourcing as sustainably as possible. And that point that you made about something that lasts 10 years, 100%, that is a sustainable product, because it's not that fast fashion, right? Where it's being manufactured and thrown away in a season. Something that lasts that long is absolutely a sustainable product. And I love that. I try to keep quality pieces of clothing so that I can have them in my closet for 7, 8, 10 years. If I can get the life out of them, I absolutely will. So it's fantastic. So is there only just a single location in London right now?
It is in one location, but that's with a third-party marketplace. So we are online. We're predominantly online as a business. We ship worldwide. So, we can ship to the States, Australia, or wherever. All the packaging we use are biodegradable or recycled cards as well. You have to ship the clothes in something. Even for the swing tickets, the card that we use is FSC approved, so it's accredited, and it's everything we're doing is paperless as well. So if you buy off, we're not going to have bits of paper and stuff inside the actual box. You'll have a nice tissue paper and sticker, but again, it's all recycled and all well thought through. So I designed everything, so so it's going to look great.
And again, it just shows another sign of how you really are trying to be sustainable and using materials that are recycled. I love that so much.
Oh, and I forgot, every purchase with our product, we actually donate to 1% for the planet. So we support trees and the ocean. So we are giving back as well. So,
Yeah, fantastic. I love that 1% for the planet. And really, when I see products that are showing, that they do donate 1% to the planet, I 100% am buying those products, because I know that they're giving back and helping the one world that we have. And that's amazing. So good on you for doing that. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you were talking a little bit about how you're doing all the design and creating all the logo and all of the product packaging and materials. And so what gave you the inspiration for that?
Well, the inspiration was, I guess I wanted to be as paperless as possible, but there was only so much you can do. And we still need, being an online e-commerce business, we need boxes. There are different ways of sending things out sustainably as well. There are different types of materials you can use. And I just looked very closely at the suppliers that we use, where the source comes from. So we do vet all our suppliers as well. And the design was quite simple. It's just a box, and anything we didn't need, we just strip out. Everything we do is online. We're on the Google Drive or whatever. Everything we can do is paperless. So anything we could shave off and not, just be eco-friendly in a way, I had to consider everything there. But I've been doing it for 20 plus years. It's ingrained, and I was doing it before they made it a thing, recently, it's like, I just do that anyway, but, so yeah.
So on top of being, super planet friendly, by not having all that additional paper and paper products, that's a cost savings for your businesses as well, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not expending money on those items.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't believe if you can save, then why not? Because I think that, if you've got an extra bit of paper or tissue, you don't really need that unless it has to protect the actual garment itself. That's absolutely fine. But using particular materials like biodegradable bags and stuff, it's not cheap either. So we've spent more because it's also branded. So we wanted to put the brand touch to it and have that experience for the customer as well. So it's, we're not just using plain poly bags. They are biodegradable. They will deteriorate over time, and it's having consideration in everything that we do, and it has to flow through. From me, the founder, and I have a co-founder as well. I can't take all the credit, but the packaging design side is all me. But we have to flow that through everything we do, and I do it through in my life anyways. I am an advocate for recycling things and putting in things in the right bins, and I've always done it. So yeah, I think everyone should be doing it. It comes just naturally and subconsciously, so you should be doing that anyway.
And I think that cities and counties, your state for here in the United States are developing these things to make it easier to recycle, which of course then makes it easier as an individual, because like you said, there's different bins that things need to go in. And so some cities, like a city near me in San Jose, California, has a bin where you just put it all in there and then they sort it later, which makes it like, oh my gosh, there's no reason why you can't be recycling when they're making it this easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about in terms of the personal branding. What are maybe some tips that you could share with the listeners about that personal branding? Like, what do we need to know?
If you're looking to start personal branding, I mean, I think the tips I would give is actually know your skill. So if you're skilled or an expert in a particular field, and generally most people are, then be seen as the expert and be the authority in that field. So really sort of build your presence on that. So and give value. So by giving value, you can post contents, you can create videos. I think it's write blogs and articles and just be as visible as possible. You really need to continue building your presence all the time, whether it's on social media, whether it's at events. Try to get yourself on podcasts and shows as well to sort of, show the expert that you are. And it really sort of helps as well, being on shows or guest, or even host your own show for that matter as well. I think it's really important, if you want to build your personal branding and be the expert in your field, you have to be visible. You cannot shy away in a box and think clients and people are going to come to you. You have to be out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. As much as we would like for people to just come to us, nobody's going to know unless you step out and share information, as you said, on blogs and podcasts such as this. People aren't going to be able to find you. They're not going to be able to know that you're even around to help them if you're not putting information out and helping those that may need it. So that's fantastic advice. I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey and this path that sort of seems semi-linear, in terms of a continuation of the basic idea of what you're working on. But did you have any challenges or struggles along the way that you feel like maybe you had to overcome?
I think things that I have to overcome is all experience. So, and I always believe that things happen for a reason. And I think certain setbacks, perhaps you could call them, is my comfort zone and my mindset. And that's what really held me back. I wish I had worked on that like over 10 years ago. I wish I had, and know what I know now. I would have done that much earlier. And I think it's just having that right mindset. And I think I wished I had a coach actually earlier as well. And I guess things happen for a reason, and maybe I wasn't ready to do that. But I think that definitely, I think that would have set me back on my journey as a manager, managing a team. I think I could have been much more, I don't know. I mean, I've got a very good way of leading a team anyway, but I think I could have been more confident in meetings, in board meetings as well, with board of directors, you know, you have to present and do things. And I was like, oh, I hate it, you know. Now it's like, okay, fine, let's get to it, you know. But back then it's like, oh, I wish I had that development and training. So I think my journey with the, you know, not having the experience of coming out of my comfort zone, I think that would be the major setback of my life.
Yeah. And like you said, that if you had maybe done this a little bit earlier, where would you be today? And that's a point that I think we can't stress enough, is that right now, you know, you may be thinking like, I should try to do something, but you're maybe scared and okay, I don't put it off. I'll just put it off. And the thing is if you start now, where will you be in 5 years, 10 years? Right? Instead of just, oh, I'll just wait, or no, it's not the time right now, or I'm just too scared.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Kitty, tell us, is there any books that you've read in the past or podcasts that you listen to or are listening to that you think that the listeners would find beneficial?
So for me, it's been such a busy year. So I haven't honestly had much time to read a book. I've dabbled in a few podcasts, but they're, you know, I guess one's called Game Changers by Adam Strong, and he talks to a lot of entrepreneurs about business and how they are. And I listen to every now and then, I pop in and out. But the book I'm currently reading, just started reading actually, is called Energize, and it's by Simon Alexander Ong. I actually got him onto my show at one. He's one of the people last year. Actually, I was like umming and ahhing. Do I ask him? Do I not ask him? Should I ask him on my show? I asked him. He said yes. I said, because I had the whole thing. It's like, he can only say no. So he came on my show. It's great. But his book Energize is about transforming your energy and to help transform your life. And it's becoming the best self with, you know, all this energy that you can use and to your potential. And it's starting to read it, and it all makes sense. And you know, you should definitely, I mean, actually I have it here. There. So
thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. It's a good read, and I'm enjoying that so far. But yeah, it's just the odd podcast I just go in and out. And I think Lunch with Norm, actually his podcast, I've actually been on his podcast twice, but the guests he brings on talking about branding and Amazon and stuff, I am really sort of interested, because it's not just about Amazon, it's about packaging and other things as well, and branding. So that's another podcast I do listen to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those recommendations. I love it. Game Changers sounds amazing. I'm going to put the names of the podcast and the book in the show notes, so anybody who's listening can go back and check that out. Fantastic. And thank you for sharing that book. I'm going to put that on my to read list as well. It sounds great. Kitty, it's been such a delight having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. I love it.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for letting me share my story. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we will talk soon. Thank you.